Welcome to episode 17 of the Chi-Town Shoot Wrestling Podcast. I'm Marcin, and joining me in the square circle are Chris, David, and Andres. We're coming at you from the heart of the wrestling world, Chicago, Illinois, bringing you the latest news, hottest takes, and all things WWE, AEW. Don't forget, we want to hear from you. Send us your thoughts, questions, and wildest predictions to Chi-Town Shoot Podcast at gmail.com. We'll tackle your comments in the Chi-Town Shoot mailbag. Without further ado, let's get to it, folks. It's been 2 weeks. I think the last time we were together, Andres, you weren't here, but we got to interview Matt Nix, which I thought went really well. How are you guys doing?
You don't sound too good. Let's start with that.
Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Sick?
Yes, I was a little sick. I actually told my parents I'd rather not go and infect them, so yes, I've been. I think I got I started feeling sick like Wednesday ish, and then I got like a bit of a fever, and that kind of like lasted for a day and a half, and then it went away. But I still have this cough left over. Don't know if it's COVID. Don't know if it's a flu or whatever. Because apparently the latest COVID strain, you also get like some kind of like ear infection or something where your ears are a little clogged, and I'm feeling that too. So yeah, so feeling better, but obviously not 100%.
That's good.
Went to
Anybody
Fan
else?
Expo.
Huh?
Went to Fan Expo.
Yeah, how did that go? We saw that you donned the God of War cosplay. How did that go?
It was good. Lots of pictures. Fucking crowded. Really crowded. We took a beeline to just try to like walk through the entire convention right when we got there, and we unfortunately got caught in that like celebrity like line area where you would whoever. I'm guessing Mark.
I thought you were gonna say like, oh, we just got bogged down by so many people asking for our picture.
No. I mean, there were quite a bit of people, but no, like at one point I was just like, "Fuck it, we're just cutting through right here." Like, like there'd be that person in the beginning of the line to see the celebrity that was tables.
Was the line just like through
right
the whole
across that
thing
shit.
where you can't like go around them? Like the line was just like, how was it laid out? That seems
I mean, it was like cattle
unfortunate.
in that specific section. It was like cattle moving.
Did you see Mark Hamill like from the distance?
But Battle and Brian were there, and they met Charlie Cox.
Oh, nice. Did you guys see anybody for autographs or pictures?
But we were walking through, and I saw Yellow Ranger Ashley, like the one that after
In Zio?
no, and well, she might have been in Zio too, but in Mighty Morphin.
Oh, the one after Kimberly?
Well, the one
Yeah,
after
Trini.
Yeah, Trini.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Yellow Ranger? Oh.
Yeah, she was there, and then Austin St. John was also there. Like off to
Oh,
the
the red
side, like in like a merch booth or some shit.
No, that's awesome. Probably like Mark Hamill and those kind of folks are like in like their own like room, so you're not able to like take pictures of them. You just have like curtains around them or something, I'm sure.
I did see Mark Hamill was, well, from what I saw online, he was just behind a table, but he had like people like with him on the side. They were just like sliding things for him to sign, and he was just really quick, just like a conveyor. There was just boom here.
Yeah, was it Donald E. Stevenson Convention Center right in Rosemont?
Yeah, I feel like it's like a dim looking building on the inside. I don't know why I think that, but like at what's the one in Chinatown where C2E is at?
McCormick?
Yeah, McCormick Place. I feel like it's just a brighter convention center.
Yeah.
I don't know. The layout.
That's a much bigger place too, though.
Yeah. Get that natural
higher
light from all the
feeling.
windows and shit.
Yeah. Bigger
Yeah.
venue, bigger lights and stuff. Yeah.
It was cool. Arlene got a poncho. They were selling ponchos.
I did see that. I when she saw that as poncho wearing things, I'm like, when have you worn ponchos before?
She's Mexican. But
Yeah,
I mean,
guess
it's
so.
cool. Be Clint Eastwood.
It looks nice. Yeah. Did you get any merch?
What did I get?
Poncho.
No, I was they did have like a Dragon Ball one that was really cool.
Did you take a
Not
picture of it at least?
what Poncho?
Dragon Ball poncho.
Mm, oh,
Damn.
we got a mystery box. I got a Pokemon mystery box, so I got this water bottle that was in there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There was
What's
that,
is it does Pikachu on a surfboard?
yeah, and
He can
it
learn
was
surf.
a waffle maker in there.
Oh, damn.
What the fuck? Did they
Metallic
say like
Squirtle.
did they say like what are the chances of you getting like something super rare? Like is there some kind of like grand prize or is it just like
They
whatever?
they put money. Like some of the boxes had like apparently like $100 bill, $50
Oh,
bill, that kind of shit. But the box itself was like $40. So it had
yeah.
that bottle.
I never
waffle
get them,
maker.
but I always see them. I always want to get one, but I never do.
It was like the
Like
That's
last
cool.
minute
mystery
thing.
boxes?
Yeah. But they were labeled by like fandom, so it was like here's a Pokemon mystery box, here's a horror mystery box, here's an anime mystery box.
Oh. Yeah, anime I'd be kind of hesitant because like anime could be like anything because it's such a big umbrella. At least with Pokemon, you know what you're getting. Like if you like the IP, then you'll probably like what's in the box for the most part, unless like I don't know, it's like a Lapras themed tampon or something. I don't know.
Well,
But like anime could be like anything from Dragon Ball Z to Yu Yu Hakusho to I don't know Food Wars or whatever. Like it could be everywhere.
Yeah. So I mean, those Arlene got a horror one, and she got a which more of like the Romulus alien.
oh,
Alien
that's sick.
Romulus.
Like the
But
new
it's like,
movie?
I was thinking,
it's like
yeah.
a big pop, though, but it looks really
Oh,
cool.
like the extra big ones, like they're like way
Funko
bigger.
Pop?
Mm-hmm. Really
That's
big.
cool.
They have Funko Pops that are that big,
Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually some that are a couple feet tall too.
Oh, yeah.
and they still like have the big bulging
Mhm.
beady eyes.
Yeah. They're exactly like that. It's in box, do everything.
It's a xenomorph, so he don't got no eyes, but
That's cool though.
yeah, that's cool. All the
That's
other shit was
awesome.
kind of lame in there. But that was like a last minute thing. I was like, all right, are we gonna get anything else? I was like, I guess I should get something. So it was like a $40 thing.
What was lame in there? Like a Nightmare on Elm Street bottle opener or something?
She got Friday the 13th socks. There's some other IP I've never heard of. Some pony. I don't know. Not My Little Pony. It was like some other shit.
That's a horror genre movie, apparently. My Little Pony.
Yeah. I did get it's not gamer fuel, but it was like GG, like energy supplement thing, nootropic supplement.
Interesting.
I bought that. That was like $30.
Is it like the powder you mean?
Yeah, it's like what you would expect like a pre-workout to be.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't go to Fan Expo because I just knew like you got to pay the 50, and then once I get there, I know myself, I'm not gonna just walk around and be like, "Ooh, this looks nice." I wouldn't walk out with nothing, so I know at least amount to $100. So I had to hold off, but I did see Alien Romulus, and there were no Romulans from Star Trek, but I did think the movie was good, and especially the first half was really good because across the entire movie the cinematography was fantastic, like the visuals, the setting, all of that, like the way it was shot was gorgeous, but it does fall victim to that kind of it feels like board members or a committee is like, okay, we're making another Alien movie, and in order to make this movie you got to check all these boxes, like you got to hit those member berries, you gotta, do this kind of stuff. So they weave that into that movie, and there are certain parts where I'm like, you really have to do that. It kind of took me out of it because if you're a big Alien fan, like you'll see and what they're referencing to based on like how the camera zooms into certain things and all that kind of stuff, or what a person says,
Oh god,
and that kind of stuff. Yeah, there'll be a line. But the person who was the android in that movie, that guy has to win an Academy Award because that guy, I like his facial expressions, just the way he speaks. Like he's really good at being an android. But I'd say I'd still recommend for people to go see the movie. But like, if sometimes you're like cynical like me when it comes to like those big franchise movies that just can't help themselves, where they just got to be like, you remember this? Like, this person says this or this happens, where
Marvel
it's similar to
syndrome.
this. Yeah, so I just feel like you don't have to do it. And there was a giant like committee who before they made this movie, they were like, oh, you got to do this, this, and this before it goes out. But I'd still say go see it because I did enjoy it a lot.
Oh, just
So,
real quick, just to bounce off the Romulan thing, I did walk past Captain, what was her name? Janeway?
Janeway, yeah, Catherine
Stamo?
Miller.
Right in front of her ass because I was like, let's just cut through the very front of the line, right in front of everybody, just to walk past and make a beeline. It was like
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, she was also in Orange Is the New Black. That's probably where Arlene knows her from. Um, she was like some Russian prison maid, but yeah, she was Janeway in Voyager, and I think I've watched every single series. Finished Voyager, almost done with Enterprise, and I'm gonna move up to the Paramount Plus series with like the Picard series and Discovery and all that kind of stuff. So
The original series?
no,
Ah, boo! You know, true
no, yeah. I mean, maybe I got to go back to that, but Strange New Worlds basically kind of scratches that itch. It's basically like the new version of original series
fan.
because it
Big
kind of
fan.
happens around that time.
No, it doesn't
just-
have that 60s camp. You got to have the 60s camp.
Sure. Maybe I'll watch it like after I'm done with all this, but like I didn't want to start with it because I wanted to get into Star Trek, and I know if I started with the original series, I'm like the guy's wearing a rubber dino mask, like I can't like take it seriously. Like I'm trying to get into the series. I don't want to like get turned away from it because like you are used to like a certain way of like production and like story and all that kind of stuff. So if I start with like the 1960 version, when I know that there are shows that look much better than this, I'm like, I can't watch this right now. So I think it's a series I'm gonna have to go back to once I like watch all of them and appreciate it. But yeah, and or like the racist like Chinese caricature versions of the Klingons, and the way they explain it in the Next Generation is like, oh, they had like a sickness, and they don't talk about that. That's how they wrote that off. So
Foxworth it alone, and Captain Kirk's overacting.
yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen Strange New Worlds though, like that Spock, who is a character on that specific show, and God, what the fuck was his name? So it was the original character that was in the
Ike.
pilot. What was it?
Ike.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. But yeah, he was like that original character that was in like the pilot, and then they just like switched it. Like he's the character in Strange New Worlds, and Spock is in there, or the younger version. But he does a really good job. And Uhura is in there as the young version, the Doctor, all that kind of stuff. So, but we're going on a Star Trek tangent now. How about you, Andres? What's new with you? What have you been up to?
Nothing really. Just work and getting ready. I'm actually going to be at a convention next weekend, following Chris, and the same venue and everything like that. It's called Anime World. Anime World, yeah.
Is that new?
Relatively new. It's kind of been around like 5 years, so it's
Really?
newish. Yeah.
See, I just know that they have ASIN. They had some kind of anime convention like July-ish.
Midwest?
Yeah.
As
And
Anime
then they're-
Midwest. Is that
Yeah.
still around, or did they sack that?
No, I think it's around still. I hear it's like dying though. But
Yeah.
now
Never
there's
heard
this
of
one.
Anime World.
Yeah, Anime World though, it's pretty fun. I like the smaller ones too, so I'll go
Do
to
you
that
have
for a day. So.
Do you have any cosplays like ready or things you're gonna
Yeah,
dust
I was
off?
actually just working on it literally before coming here, and on this, I was actually working on it. I have it like all on the floor right now.
What is it?
I was actually making Jin Kazama's gauntlets from 8, so I was like,
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
and then the jacket from yes, yeah. So
we
it's coming
gotta
along
take
pretty well.
pictures.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I feel like we got to go to like a convention, just dress up as wrestlers. like as a
There's a
group.
lot. There's a lot of wrestling cosplay actually. You should go to those for that
Honestly,
reason.
like I've seen a couple like before. I've seen like the obvious ones that are like because if like you're just a dude in like underwear and black boots, you're like, oh, who am I? Take a
No, even
guess.
at
Could be like 100 people.
Brooklyn
At
Brawler.
Fan Expo, there actually was a guest who like has been very big with like wrestling cosplay specifically, and there was a lot of they took a lot of pictures of a lot of other wrestling cosplayers there. There's actually wrestling meetups there too now.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's
Wrestling's
probably
very big
dressed
in
up
the
as like
con.
Kane or someone like obvious. I don't want to
Yeah.
be like,
I
oh,
saw
I'm
Kane,
Goldberg. You
Bearded.
are?
Bearded,
Go on.
tatted wrestler man.
Yeah, I'm
Hey.
bearded tatted wrestler. I'm creator wrestler number 2.
I probably
Yeah, you
do,
always see the tweets from.
I would do Finn Balor, but Demon Balor.
Yeah, see, exactly. Like, it has to be like an super obvious, like Macho Man Randy Savage. Like it has to be like, oh yeah, I know who you are. You could be John Cena. Like everyone knows what John Cena looks like. Because
Let's all do.
you just have to buy the
Yeah.
John Cena merch.
Let's all do Easter next year. I'll see when the wrestling meetup is. It's usually on a Sunday as well, but it's usually a big turnout. It's like 50 plus, 60 plus people.
Damn.
Cool.
So it's not bad. So I'll keep you guys informed about it. We can maybe plan something like that.
Yeah, do it. What about you, David? What's new with you?
Flew to Seattle and drove back.
Yeah, how did that go? Yeah, I know you were kind of
That's
like
pretty
talking
sweet.
about it.
Sweet, good food.
You see anything? You were visiting your sister? Was that it?
I was bringing her back, but yeah. So I caught up with her there. And helped
What
her
was she
drive
doing
back.
there? Was it like a school thing or?
Interning.
Oh, cool. And what is she intern?
Blank cool company.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she got a job offer, so she'll
Oh,
be moving
shit.
to Seattle. And we will be covering Defy Wrestling out there.
Is Defy Wrestling in Seattle?
Yeah.
Who is there anyone of note who's come from it or currently is in indie wrestling that like people kind of know on the internet? Because I honestly have no idea. I'm very ignorant on that.
Swerve, Nick Wayne, and Darby.
Sure.
Oh, damn, they were all from it?
Yeah.
Shit.
I gave AEW some love in my manager top 5 or 5 valet slash managers.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Yeah, we'll jump into that. Mine are WWE. Fuck
That's AEW country.
That's a dub
Seattle,
country.
Tacoma. Yeah, they get Wrestle Dream.
Are they
Yeah, like the
are
second
they
year in a
getting
row.
Wrestle Dream?
Yeah, they did last year too.
I guess that's like the hub, like how we're kind of all out.
Yeah.
Wrestle Dream apparently.
Is All
Yeah,
In
that's
this
awesome.
coming weekend?
Yeah, it's
The
this.
24th.
Yeah, they said 7 days away. So this upcoming
Yeah.
Saturday, and it's at noon. I think Patrick works
Oh,
that
fuck.
weekend, so I'm just gonna. I mean, are you gonna host it? Because I'll go.
Yeah, I'll host it. I'll just work like 7 to 10 or some shit.
7 to
Yeah.
10. I mean, you're in control of your thing. So just say
I'm
you're
like,
sick or
sorry,
something.
no, I would just be like, yeah, I'm not working that late this day.
Yeah, or move it around. But yeah, that's this coming Saturday, right? Or it's not Sunday
They got a lot of cool retro shops there.
in Seattle.
Yeah.
Did you visit any of them? Did you get anything?
I got that Sting VHS of like from WCW on
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
I forgot about that.
But yeah,
Do
there's
you
like
have a VHS player?
no.
Yeah,
I'll
we
need
do. Or I know my parents have one that they don't use, but I also think they have like another one that's like a backup. So if you need one, I could jack it for you because they don't really watch it. They just do YouTube now. What's the Sting VHS tape? Is it like a specific like series of matches? This is like best of Sting.
I think it's a biography type deal.
Oh shit.
That's
Yeah, that'd be cool. Send
an
that
album.
picture again. I'm gonna post it on social media because I remember seeing it, but like my mind was like somewhere else when you sent it. So if you can send it again, I'll definitely share it on social media for sure. When I was like working out like this week, I just like if I'm on a treadmill or whatever, I'm just like thinking of like wrestling memes to post on the video. So that's why I came up with that Rock bedtime story one and the Roman Reigns at Chili's. I just got like the cap cut. Like I just my logic is like I work backwards from like what they say, and I'm like, ooh, sounds interesting. Like in this scenario, so I think I'm just gonna keep doing that because sometimes when you pigeonhole yourself into like just like a wrestling scene, it's not my creative juices at least don't flow as well. But I guess that's enough of our little what's new and what's our creative process. We can jump into the first segment of the podcast, and that is revolving all around Paul Heyman and the SmackDown Six. In a recent interview, Paul Heyman expressed his admiration for the wealth of talent on WWE's current roster. Having spent decades in the professional wrestling industry, Paul Heyman collaborated with some of the most celebrated performers of their time. His experience ranged from working with people like Rick Rude to modern stars like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And one of Heyman's greatest strengths in the wrestling world has been his knack for discovering and nurturing talent that may have otherwise gone unnoticed. A prime example of his talent scouting prowess was the group of wrestlers known as the SmackDown Six. One of them involves he who must not be named, but you can't deny his talent. In 2002, when WWE underwent its first brand extension, Heyman was appointed the head of creative for WWE SmackDown, and seizing the opportunity, he put Edge, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Chavo Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and Kurt Angle in a rivalry for the WWE Tag Team Championship. The group of wrestlers delivered numerous classic matches during SmackDown's formative years as a distinctive brand and kind of separated themselves from Raw. And even today, Heyman and the performers continue to field questions about that iconic era in wrestling. And recently, Heyman was interviewed by Jeremy Hanna of Newsweek. Heyman was asked to assemble a lineup from today's WWE roster that could recreate the same magic. He seized the moment to commend the current depth of talent in WWE, expressing confidence that he could form several lineups that rival what he crafted in 2002. Heyman said every member of the bloodline, basically, every member of Solo's bloodline, obviously, because there's a lot of money to be made there, Heyman said. He also went on to say Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Braun Breaker, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, Austin Theory. Paul Heyman, obviously keeping his eyes on the future of the product, also put over the current WWE NXT roster. He said that he feels a good portion of the developmental crew is ready to be called up now, and that finding the right packaging for the appropriate talent is the key. He said a third of the NXT roster, which I think is ready to be called up into action now. It's just that the timing has to be right. The presentation has to be right. The packaging, the marketing has to be right. Why rush it? Why throw people in just because you just signed them? It doesn't make any sense. Turning his attention back to the main roster, Heyman went on to run down the list of stars he felt he could build a promotion around, including people like Logan Paul, Charlotte Flair, and Pat McAfee as that energetic commentator. Heyman said, I mean, there's a plethora of talent right now. If you told me I can't have any of those people, any of them, I can still build a magnificent roster, he said. I mean, give me Pat McAfee on as a commentator to just keep the energy level at nuclear. Look at Logan Paul. I mean, you can certainly build a promotion around Logan Paul. LA Knight. I mean, there's just so much talent out there. Dominic Mysterio, my God, the wealth of talent that, Charlotte Flair, who's right on the cusp of just being labeled a legend and still has so much more to accomplish. I could probably put together 4 or 5 rosters of SmackDown Sixes with today's crew. He went on to say, one of the things that really clicked about the SmackDown Six is that they weren't main eventers. They weren't perceived as main eventers. Kurt Angle had been in a few main events, but he was always considered semi-main event until then. The Guerreros, Edge, Mysterio, these people were not headlining, and now all of a sudden they were. So that's another thing. Who do you move up the ladder? Who moves up? Who becomes the next big star? Is it from NXT? Is it from SmackDown? Is that person from Raw? And I kind of wanted to bring that conversation back to the group about the state of WWE in its current form on WWE Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and he touched on a number of wrestlers who are currently under contract with WWE. Who do you guys feel like should be can fit that SmackDown 6, where they're not exactly super like main event, but they have the talent to get pushed up that in that direction? Chris, if you want to, how do you feel the current? Who do you feel like in the current roster can live up to that kind of billing, like
For
those
sure.
6 that I mentioned?
For sure, LA Knight. Like LA Knight is not necessarily like main event guy right now, but he's definitely if he isn't on the way there, he's definitely. I mean, so
That's
LA
true.
Knight for sure. He's got the mic skills. He can put on a decent match, right? No real
Yeah.
flippy shit, but like that classic kind of mat
He's got like a
wrestling.
very attitude era type
Yeah.
match to him.
Like a
Stone
brawler.
Cold
Like,
Steve Austin, kind of like stomp a mud hole in you, kind of thing. But he could also do it. Like it isn't just like bruiser, like just like street fights. Like he can also be pretty athletic when it comes to that stuff. So I also wouldn't sell himself short on that. But I would definitely put LA Knight on there. David, how about you? Who else would you like throw in like that SmackDown 6? And it could be Raw 6 or SmackDown 6. Who do you think in this current roster? And we can also include NXT because there are a lot of talented people on there who you can already see. And even people who are going from TNA who are showing up in NXT, like Joe Hendry, for example. I think I would include him as part of that NXT roster, even though he's technically not.
Oba Femi.
Obafemi.
Yeah, dude, he's a beast.
I honestly haven't seen a lot of his matches. I can't like form a great opinion, but what draws you to Obafemi? Why do you think he'd be like that kind of like Kurt Angle, Edge, Benoit type person
He's
on
a
the main roster?
he's a monster that can talk. If he had a manager, it'd be a plus, but he doesn't need it. And he's basically like a big bruiser, like a super heavyweight, throwing lariats and watching you fly around, knocking him out there. And he's put on a lot of good matches with like a wide variety of type of wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. Is his athletic ability kind of like Bam Bam Bigelow or like even like a Jacob Fatu? Because Jacob Fatu is like bigger. Like you don't expect someone that size to be doing that kind of stuff. Is Obafemi that kind of athletic person where you could do like a moonsault? Off the
He can,
turnbuckle.
but he's more of like a big Punisher, like kind of like a Gunther type.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I feel like you also need more of that kind of stuff too. And I feel like WWE does a pretty decent job of offering a like a smorgasbord of movesets in each character, like the characters that they have. It's not everyone does the flippy shit. Not everyone is just doing, choke holds and that kind of stuff. And I feel like, WWE's current roster does a really good job at that. And Obafemi, I mean, I've seen some clips, but in terms of like his mic skills, I don't have too much to draw from to like provide an actual opinion on the guy. But from like his wrestling stuff, I think he looks pretty impressive. Obafemi is a really good one. We talked about he mentioned Braun Breaker, and I think Braun Breaker is like one of those people when you saw an NXT, and I saw a couple of PLEs with Braun Breaker main eventing, and then he obviously debuted on Raw. I think after WrestleMania, it was
I
this
see
year, right?
champ now, baby.
Yes, exactly. IC champ. I mean, the guys. It's like the promo work. Like it's just natural to him. The wrestling. It's just like, yeah, if I had to pick a SmackDown 6 and you asked me to put like the first person on there, like if you had like a main menu and you had to drag people to your roster, like he'd be one of the first people that I would put on my show to, like that's a new talent that will last me for a long time. God forbid, he doesn't get injured. Kind of like a Cora Jade or someone like that. Because Cora Jade, I thought is talented, but like her, Dakota Kai is getting injured again. Like people who I feel like are talented, but they kind of have like a glass jaw. I don't know if there's a better term for that, but yeah, Braun Breaker I would definitely put on there. Um, Andres, what about you? Like, if you had to look at the current like sea of people, NXT, SmackDown, Raw, who would be part of your quote unquote SmackDown Six for
For
the
me,
show?
I was actually a fan of theirs before, and they're pretty jobbing right now. But Austin Theory is one guy I've always kind of liked. Really good on the mic, great skills, great look. Um, overall, real good package. I remember Triple H even said, like in his press conferences, that they were really excited to see what he can do in the future because he's got such a vibrant talent about him, about going about it. And, like I've been a big fan of his before, even so. I would definitely put him on the top 6 for that.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, um, Austin Theory is kind of somewhere on the fence because I feel like he's super talented. Like as a wrestler, like he sells the shit out of things, like rolling in, taking stunners and RKO's. Like he's just really good at being that like in ring person to complement the other person, make them look really good. I in terms of like his character and stuff, I think like his current version with him and Grayson Waller has been my favorite. Before that, with like the Vince like protege kind of thing, it just felt like I've been there, done that. It could have been something, but I felt like him as a character wasn't giving me anything more than, oh, this is a protege character person. Like he's got the charisma, but for me he hasn't like reached that kind of like echelon yet. But I could see it. Like I could see it, and I could understand why you'd put him in the SmackDown Six.
It was after the whole thing with Vince McMahon that's when he kind of like launched more, right? I would feel.
Yeah,
when
I
he
mean
had the
he
money in
got
the bank, they kept
Because he was
throwing it
tiny.
away.
yes, exactly. Wasn't he the first one to lose? No, he went for the United States Championship,
Yeah,
wasn't
because the bloodline kept crashing his cash-ins.
it? Yeah. So like interesting, choice of like, decision making for him. Oops, sorry. Ooh, yeah, when it came to like the decision making for the title shots, Dominic Mysterio, I'm going to put up there because this guy, he's a heel, and again, I saw this on Twitter, but like, and I'm taking it because like it's just so funny. It makes sense. Like he's a heel, and he just turned heel, and heel's already a freaking heel.
He turned
Like
more heel.
yeah, he turned more heel. Like he was already heel with Rhea Ripley. Like they were technically together, and like the crowd was receiving them as a babyface and what, but they weren't. Like they liked Rhea Ripley, and they still thought he was an asshole. And then he just became more of an asshole by betraying Rhea Ripley, and then having this new faction with Liv Morgan, and he's facing Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, which I think is one of the best things going right now in wrestling in terms of like a storyline. I think it's super entertaining, and I want them to keep going with that. Another person that I would put on there is Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffany Stratton and like what they're currently doing, I could see Triple H's brain turning right now because it feels like currently on SmackDown they're like making this faction with like Nia Jax as the women's champion. You have Tiffany Stratton as kind of like the assistant person with like the briefcase, and she's probably going to cash in eventually. They're going to do this will they won't they kind of thing, and now they also attached Pretty Deadly to this like faction thing. And I'm with Simon in the sense of goofy wrestling for life, because I love what they've done on SmackDown. So people were shitting on it. They had like the whole segment with like the balloons, and Pretty Deadly was like the microphones and shit. Oh Lord. But like it was like Vince McMahon era level stuff in terms of like the segment, but I thought it was great because like I haven't seen it in a while, and they do it really well. So I'm all for this like new faction with them. So I could see Tiffany Stratton going all the way up and being kind of one of those like pillars of SmackDown or Raw, wherever she goes. She's super talented, and she She knows it, and she's really good at it. Who else would you guys like in this roster, Chris? Who else would you attach to like a SmackDown 6? Would you say?
Chad Gable. You want a Kurt Angle? You got a Kurt Angle, bruh.
Yeah, honestly, like if you just want like a wrestler for wrestler kind of person, I would definitely say Chad Gable. Why more than just Kurt Angle clone?
I mean, he also has a personality. I think he can pivot to other things besides being like an Olympic wrestler, even though that's base style. I mean, he's got the whole thing with the Wyatt Six now, being whisked away by some spooks.
That's true. I mean, like I forgot White Six because it like they're doing. I'm glad that they're not doing like just super spooky all the way. Because if you saw like them wrestling when they debuted, like it wasn't like just there was like ooh fog and it was just like spooky, scary masks. Like they were just like in a wrestling match and they were just like wrestling.
They're like the Wyatts.
Yeah, exactly. They like it. It was like you were kind of like straddling between like maybe supernatural, like or the original Wyatts when
They're
they
just creepy.
debuted. It was just like they were just like swamp family. Maybe they were doing some kind of like voodoo behind closed doors and stuff, but it wasn't super in your face. There was something there, but it wasn't like the main thrust of those characters. It kind of reminds me of like that Resident Evil 7 like family thing, except that one was obviously much more like paranormal, um, virus goos and that kind of stuff. But like that kind of like feeling of like, French Louisiana kind of like family, and I feel like they're kind of going back to that with this. Obviously, the masks and that kind of stuff, and the masks are more spooky because in the original ones you had like the lamb and that kind of stuff, and these are a little more high budget, I guess I'll say, but they're another group of people. And honestly, like if you want SmackDown 6, you could put every single one of those people and be like the SmackDown 6. All six of those people within that roster can potentially carry your brand.
Mon Cherie.
Yeah, Mama Cherie. What about you, David? Who else would you throw in your roster if you had to?
I put Andrade.
Yeah. Yeah, Andrade. And right now he's currently kind of in the middle of like this Carmelo Hayes Andrade feud, and which is good. Like they need to like give them like some kind of like, feud, like just have them keep going. I think it's basically Andrade won the first two and then Carmelo won the third, I guess. I feel like they might keep going with that one, but Andrade, yeah, but where do you feel like Andrade goes from here, do you think? Do you feel like he's just going to keep feuding with Carmelo Hayes, or do you think they're going to like put him in a title picture in the near future?
I'm sure he'll end up in the title picture again. I think it's good for Hayes because like they're both former NXT champs,
Yeah.
and then also like Andrade's had a little bit of gold on the main roster, so getting him
That's
back
true.
in play like proper. Because I feel like they just scooped him up from AEW. It was like, here, go ahead,
Yeah,
show everybody you're back.
yeah.
All right, we got to get a plan for you, pal.
Yeah, because he was in WWE, but he wasn't pushed that super hard, right? Like, because like when he came back, they weren't like, "Oh, yay, it's Andrade! Yes, thank
They
God!"
used him
Like,
as a Rumble surprise, and then it was kind of just like,
yeah, and then he just kind of had like matches, and like there
Yeah.
wasn't really a pop. And when he started doing his match, like they got more invested because they're like, "Oh, he's doing cool shit." But as a character, I feel like it just needs to take some time. Do you feel like he will ever reach that echelon of like, a Damian Priest or a Gunther or that kind of person in the current climate? Do you
maybe
feel like
like
he's got it in him?
maybe like upper mid card. I could see him holding on to the Intercontinental or the U.S. title a lot, but the world, it'd probably take everything else before that to get there.
Maybe get some Charlotte influence. Get that title picture. I can
No,
see
but he
that
could
too.
do it. He held NXT down for a while,
Oh yeah,
so there's that trust with Triple H, and so
that's true. What about you, Andres? Who else would you throw into your party?
I would say Roxanne Perez.
Oh
It's probably
yeah.
pretty fun. You know, like I feel like she's been, obviously running through the NXT women's division really well, and moving her up into the card and moving her to the main roster, I think would be really interesting. There's a lot of good storytelling there. She's a good wrestler, good look too. Obviously, more than just like the AJ inspiration style that she kind of carries with her. But I feel like down the line, it could be some good storytelling if like AJ Lee did come back, and since CM Punk's really cool with Roxana Perez, there'd be some good storytelling there too.
Yeah.
The potential there with her too, because I mean, obviously she's so young, and she was trained by Booker T, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like she's in a good spot, but like obviously there's just so much more potential for her when she eventually gets moved up,
Yeah.
So that's definitely one person I could see like mid card, but higher mid card, and then we'll going from there.
Yeah. For me, I think I would say Jade Cargill, and like
That was another one I had actually.
yeah, I mean, like she's like it feels like she's already in the main event, but she's still like super young. I mean, she's about our age, so I guess it's like it's about like prime middle, like early middle part of like your career, and but she still has like so much more potential. Like she's still. It still feels like she's just starting. Like she hasn't like gone off the ground completely, like she's in her tag matches. She's done one-on-one matches. She's had the tag titles. She was on AEW before, and she had that streak, kind of gold-ish streak. Yeah, TBS champ for a while. But you can see that that WWE is trying to position her as that kind of like a John Cena type of person, like, but for the women's roster.
That bitch.
I mean, she is really good. She has an aura. She is improving in the ring. She's got the charisma. And I think if you put her on Raw, or I mean, if she's on Raw or she is on SmackDown, I think she's got that, that X factor. So she's definitely someone I would put on there on my roster. I mean, like the bloodline right now, you have Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Jacob Fatu, right? Like that guy's as old as us. I thought he was like fucking older than us. But that guy like reeks charisma. Like put him on SmackDown or Raw. He doesn't even have to be part of the bloodline. But I feel like the bloodline, anyone being attached to that specific storyline, you will be elevated by that storyline because it's like one of the hottest things happening in wrestling right now. So I like right now what I feel Jacob Fatu is doing, it's like they're not letting him like do like a lot of like mic work and promo work right now. Like right now it just kind of feels like he's just part of that
I love you, Solo.
Yeah, that Solo Sikoa kind of thing. Like just like the praying, the attacking, like he just feels like he's the attack guy. He's still not kind of like separate, like his own character. He feels like he's just part of the bloodline. So I'm excited to see like when he finally kind of separates himself from the tag team, from Solo Sikoa, when it gets kind of more into the face of Roman Reigns, more of a one-on-one. That's when I want to see how he shines. But when that happens, it's gonna it's gonna be amazing because like you've seen his promo work in the Indies and in New Japan and all that kind of stuff. It's been, like he's just really a natural on the microphone. It sounds natural. He's not talking off a script or anything like that. It just feels like it's coming from himself. So, definitely him. I was also gonna say Otis because I feel like you got to give him like a chance. He's still part of like that Alpha Academy, and what they're currently doing right now with is it American Made in America? What's the new tag
American
team?
Made.
Thank you. American Made versus, I mean, are they called Alpha Academy? I don't know if they're still called Alpha Academy.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, so Alpha Academy and American Made. I mean, that's awesome. And like seeing it across both shows, you can tell like Triple H just really likes factions. I don't think everyone has to be in a faction, but I feel like
Faction it up, baby.
honestly, like the faction wars, like the
No
faction
factions,
wars
that's for sure.
and the gang wars, like that kind of stuff. Like at least like when it comes to Raw and SmackDown, like every match has a purpose. If you watch Raw, every single one of those matches on that card has some kind of story or a purpose. Like regardless if it's a women's match or whatever, 30-second squash. What they did with Bronson Reed is insane, and the crowds, like I don't know where this energy comes from, but the crowds like are eating that shit up, and it elevates his character so much. Like literally, was it 2 or 3 weeks? He basically had like nothing, and then he's like, you know what, I'm gonna make a name for myself, and then he just fucking kills people every single week. But it's produced in such a way where it's just like yeah, this give him a title shot. Like it's
That's
insane.
the man that beat Okada, bro.
Yeah. Here's another one. All right, let's do one more round of who else
Terrorizing the game. Okada's yelling, bitch.
terrorizing.
It's just
Gonna make a name for myself out here.
So, Chris, who else would you throw in your little six-pack wrestlers to make a
Might
name for
be
themselves?
controversial for me, but I'll say Karrion Kross.
Ooh, David, can you comment on that one?
Nah, that's his. It's okay.
The only reason I say that, I think with the right direction, I think like if he didn't have as much, I don't know how much creative control he has over his own character and like the faction stuff, but I think if he was given the right thing, he could be a. I'm saying like he's got the whole package thing. He's got physique. He can wrestle. He's got charisma and all that shit. But it's just like it's the way he's being portrayed. Where it just feels like he's just being like shoved down our throats, and he's trying to like that notice me senpai kind of like vibe right now off of like streak of like gimmicks or whatever. So I think if clean slate, put him in the right thing, I think he could be a big guy. I think.
Is Paul Ellering part of your list of best managers or Valets?
The old dude? Nah, hell no.
He's actually the fucking
The old dude.
Who the fuck is that, dude?
He was managing the Road Warriors in the
Was
80s and
he?
early 90s. Yes.
Oh damn. Well,
we weren't
yeah.
there for those.
Yeah, he managed Hawk and Animal in the early 90s and 80s. But now he just kind of stands in the court, like literally like what I told you guys in
black
our group
gloves
chat.
on.
Yeah, you got the gloves, and then he's just standing there. Like him and Scarlett, they're technically managers or valets, but like I guess occasionally Scarlett shows up and like jumps on the back of somebody. But Paul Ellering, like, why the fuck is he there? Like he has like in terms of like the current version of this group, he's just been standing there. I don't think he's cut a promo.
What was he doing with the Road Warriors? Was he vocal? Was he like cutting promos for him or what?
I mean, he was one of their mouthpieces, and he also helped in matches. And then then when the Authors of Pain kind of showed up in 2017, he was basically, he came back in like 2011 and then just started being used sporadically. Ellering he was inducted in the Hall of Fame I think it was in 2011. It was like that same year as the Road Warriors by Dusty Rhodes. And then at NXT, he came back in 2016.
When AOP was cool.
Yeah, when AOP was cool. Akam and Razor just sound like those villains in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Or Dodgeball.
Or Dodgeball, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't realize how long Authors of Pain have been around, but it just feels like it's been almost a decade, and I feel like they've just been kind of like flailing, like they've not been like in the main event like Raw, SmackDown, and they've been around for almost a decade. But
they've been released a couple times too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. On and off. But yeah, I was gonna say Bobby Lashley, but I guess he's more of a
Bobbert.
Yeah, I mean, he for one, he didn't get released. I think he just let his contract expire. Um,
Hurt
Bobby
Syndicate
Lashley's.
is all elite.
You think he's gonna be all elite?
The whole Hurt Syndicate,
They're gonna be called the Hurt Syndicate,
probably.
Hurt Business. All right, David. Who else would you throw on your 6 pack?
Io Sky.
Who? Sorry, I was coughing.
Io Sky.
Yeah, yeah. No, yes, Io Sky. I agree with that. I mean, she's been women's champion, and I feel like she just needs to be separate from Damage Control. I feel like it feels like they're making them a babyface faction, right? Or am I
I think they're
hallucinating?
carrying over the
Yeah.
the team that they had in Lucha Underground because they had like the same like black outfits on that they wore because Kari was with her in that team along with someone else. But it looks like they have the same look on that.
It looks like Dakota Kai got injured again, so I feel like she's probably just going to be relegated to like manager at this point. I mean, she'll come back and wrestle, but I don't know what's going on with that.
I think they're kind of rebooting them again, yeah.
Yeah, but Io Sky is a really good one, and again, I feel like she needs, and this is not just her; it's Japanese wrestlers in WWE in general, because there are moments of brilliance and production value. When they did Shinsuke Nakamura's promos, I thought that was really good, and that's one way to kind of go over the issue of like English as your main first language. Just give them promos, pre-recorded, subtitled, just as effective, and have them, be in main event feuds. And I feel like, I mean, with Shinsuke Nakamura, I mean, he's getting a little older, so maybe they feel like he's not in that position anymore. I think it's still a shame, after he won the Rumble, I feel like he should have won the title, but that's neither here nor there. But like with Io Sky, Kairi Sane too. I feel like she deserves like her own character. She doesn't have to just be like and Asuka too. I feel like she could still have one really good run. All of them deserve, I think, a better a better strategy in terms of like production and how to produce them as characters. Like Japanese wrestlers, I still feel like haven't reached that like sweet spot in WWE when it comes to elevation.
What about AEW?
I don't think they do that good enough job either. I mean, like, and for me, what it boils down to is
bitch.
Well, that's you. I mean, maybe you kind of likes that, but yeah, I mean, it's like it does not feel like when you like what I got, what I heard when he ordered Okada, and what I saw in New Japan is not what I'm seeing in AEW. You know what I mean? Like, you ordered this package, but like the months went by, and what you've given me in an output as his character is not intriguing to me. And again, like, I don't want to keep being like, being a broken, record here. And I'm only saying this because you just brought it up, but it just boils down to, they do have stories, but there's still enough, like, they're doing this match just because kind of stuff, where it just kind of like turns me off. And again, like, that's my preference. And people might just be like, we're just putting dream matches together, and fuck, who cares why for certain things, like whatever, like ratings bumps and all that kind of stuff. But like for me, I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like I if I'm watching wrestling, I do like stories. I do like characters. I do like it building towards something. And Vince had those issues. Like, sometimes it was, but at least he had stories in it. Like, there were like one or two like big story threads, and other things were thrown together. Like, we know the Divas and that kind of stuff was always like bathroom break stuff, and that's entirely the fault of how they treated the women in that area. But like with AEW, that's just kind of like how I feel. Like I'm super intrigued by the Tony Storm stuff. Like that has felt consistent, and that feels like it's going to reach something. But
Mariah
I
May
feel like
got
the way
that new look. She got
I
that
feel like the way they
bleach
treat Swerve Strickland, just like from an optics point of
Yeah.
view.
Oh,
Like
no, I
match
feel
cards
that.
or even that kind of stuff. Like, oh, the AEW champion, and then like if you see like the match card on social media, like he's like over here, and like his fucking title's like size 3 font or whatever. It
AEW
like
World Heavyweight Champion written really long, but really
yeah,
small.
like it's just those kinds of things, and it's not like it's a sudden thing. It's like death of a thousand cuts. It's like I'm being exposed to this way of production over months and months, and it's just bleh. Like I don't care. Like I'm intrigued for the handful of matches in All In, but I feel like I said, if you want to see a perfect way of booking a show, look at Raw and the way that every single match, title match, women's match, tag team matches, matches in between all thread together. Like the Liv Morgan and all that kind of stuff. Think about how many like matches and things just kind of like connect together based on that one feud. You know what I mean? Like that is some smart shit. And AEW is not doing that. And now that I know that wrestling can be like something like that, I can't go back to like let's just throw something together. Like if I know if I have only so many hours in the week to watch wrestling and invest in myself, I gotta do WWE. And like I'll watch recaps with AEW and that kind of stuff, but I can't be like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and watch the entire 2 hours or whatever it is.
I
or
mean,
Collision.
I'm just gonna say this: Raw should not be a fucking 3-hour show. Like that shit's way too. I don't care. I don't care how good you say that shit is. Like 3 hours is way long for.
That's fair, but they also have an hour and a half version on Hulu if you want to watch. Like then you could just watch the on-demand version like on a Tuesday or whatever, and they cut it down to an hour and a half, and you just have to watch the stuff that they want you to see, like the must-have parts. So you don't have to watch 3 hours. You can watch an hour 30 minutes. And that's basically the extent of Rampage or Dynamite with commercials. So I'm just saying that there are alternate solutions. And SmackDown I still think is really good too. I think Raw's been doing better, but SmackDown has the Bloodline story. Like SmackDown is also firing on all cylinders, and it's 2 hours. You know, so if I have to invest in a product and a company, WWE is doing much better right now.
Yep.
All right. Well, David, you said Io Sky, and I just went on a whole AEW tangent and
glazing tangent.
glazing
so
Triple H
good.
tangent. Andres, who else would you throw on that SmackDown 6?
For me, I mean, he's been champion, but Finn Balor, I feel.
Yeah.
You know, he's at a good spot right now, but I mean, obviously he's been champion, but like, obviously he has, you know, like the demon character and stuff like that. Like people love that. You know, he was obviously a great wrestler. He can do groups, he can do heels, he can be, you know, the leader of a group, and like did betraying Damian Priest, you know, like he's been doing really good like storytelling with that and stuff like that. So I mean, Finn Balor I feel is like one guy that can definitely become main event and like be face of like a brand, if not like SmackDown overall. It's about, you know.
Yeah. I mean, and how old is Finn Balor? He's not.
He's been around.
40. I know he's been
old.
around. I'm just trying to see. Oh, he's 43. Well, he looks good.
Yeah, he does.
So, yeah, I mean, like Finn Balor, I feel like for his like a majority of his career on the main roster, I feel like it's like his character has been like edged. No pun intended, like because he's feuded with Edge, but like Edge, like it wasn't like he wasn't like main event because he got the title, got fucking injured, and then he just kind of was like somewhere around here, like in the middle or upper middle, and he was part of Judgment Day, but he wasn't like the main guy. Like he had the tag titles, like, but he's never reached that like main event echelon again. I feel like he still has enough in him to like be up there. Like Damian Priest feels like he's up there now, and honestly, he's another guy. I'm amazed because I thought he was going to be a transitional champion after he won it after WrestleMania, and I thought he was going to drop it at like Money in the Bank or something around there, but he did drop it at SummerSlam. But now his character is like over here, like the pops that he's getting, the reactions that he's getting, and especially I think because it's tied with like the Rhea Ripley story, like that guy is super, super over. So I'd like to see Finn Balor get that with this feud between himself and Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. And I feel like they're going to get there, but it just needs to cook. I think Triple H just needs to let them cook. So let's move on. I think that's plenty of the SmackDown 6. We're going to move on to another kind of listicle, our favorites from our experiences, and that's the roles of managers and valets in the past, in the modern era. Whoever we think, the 4 or 5, and if you guys have like some extras here or there. And also, if you want to tell me like the worst ones, if you think of like the worst manager at Valet, if you can come up with a terrible one, I'd like to hear that too, because that would be interesting. But managers and valets, I mean, they've been around for the longest time. It feels like in the 80s and 90s, they were a little more prominent. They were more important. And I felt like early 2000s, they had a bit of a renaissance because I could name a whole bunch of them that were super popular, but they were very important to characters to either assist them in their matches, to win the matches. If the wrestler wasn't that great at speaking, they were great at being a mouthpiece. They were also sometimes even dating the wrestlers, so that kind of added that dynamic to make the story more interesting or make that match more unpredictable because you had that thumb on the scale of those specific matches. And these people have ranged from amazing to terrible, very influential to iconic. So I want to go around the room, kind of how we did with the wrestling Mount Rushmore of people. Say your pick and say why you like them, who they managed, who you think like or supported, and we'll go around the room and kind of go down those kinds of things. I had that document with like things that if you want to touch on in terms of like their relevance or their fan perception, or even like behind the scenes, like not off screen, but people who are influential within the industry. If you want to use that as a reason why, their promo skills, their historical significance, that kind of stuff. So if you want to use those as like reasons, but I'm sure you all have your reasons why. So I'm going to start off with like the obvious one because I feel like everyone might have on this list, and you guys can, if you pick this person, also provide like your reasons why. But I'm just gonna go off the bat and say Paul Heyman. I feel like that's a super obvious choice. But Paul Heyman, why? Because like who else is that good? I mean, like he's had he's obviously managed Brock Lesnar, and Roman Reigns is the most recent and obvious one, but he's also been a manager of CM Punk. If you've seen like that era of CM Punk right before he left WWE, like he was a Paul Heyman guy, and that was really good with them and their entanglements with each other. He's had some so-so things, like they tried to put him with Cesaro, and that didn't work that great, and he was with Ryback. That didn't work that great either. Big Show. Rob Van Dam. I mean, like they were together. They were partners, and it wasn't Michael McGillicuddy, but Kurt Hennig's son. I forgot his actual name.
Oh yeah.
But he was
Curtis Axel.
Curtis Axel, yeah.
Still hasn't lost in the Rumble.
Yeah, exactly. So he also like was managing him, and I feel like they all had varying degrees of success with those three. But the Paul Heyman, the Roman Reigns, the CM Punk, the Brock Lesnar. I mean, being a manager, I mean, and I want to just like as a person because I feel like his influence as a SmackDown writer, a commentator, he owned ECW, like
You can
as a
do it all.
manager, yeah, he could do it all. And as a manager, like he really like just takes that wrestler over the top. He's like that ingredient that just really excels that person, whatever that is, and it's got to be his mic work and charisma because yeah, that guy can speak, and it comes from the heart. I mean, it sounds like it comes from the heart. If he's reading off a script, he should be an actor. But but yeah, Paul Heyman is my first guy, and I think the reasons are obvious. Bloodline, um, the CM Punk feud, and the Brock Lesnar feud. And I think he had the one with Tooth in 2002, like the next big thing. But I think it really kicked into overdrive when Brock Lesnar came back in I think it was 2012, and then Paul Heyman came back, and that I think that put Brock Lesnar and that like duo over the top as like an amazing pairing because that series of things with them like that was what carried that show for a long time. But yeah, that's my pick. Chris, who do you got and why?
Gonna have to give it to Stephanie McMahon.
Damn.
I mean, it's the obvious with Triple H, but she was like with Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Hulk Hogan. Apparently, I don't remember that one. Matt Cowan, Ric Flair, Edge, and Christian. But like when she was with Triple H, I think she was a big part of that equation to elevate the importance of Triple H's heel work. I think because being boss's daughter and him dating the boss's daughter or whatever, like that just kind of elevated him to this kind of like elite level kind of character. So I don't think I honestly believe I don't think Triple H would be at that same level without Stephanie McMahon or the McMahons to be frank.
McMahon Helmsley era.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And that was just I mean the back and forth, the resting bitch face shit, the slapping, like ringside, all that stuff. I mean, she definitely ammed it up for him. So I'd have to say Stephanie McMahon.
Absolutely.
That's a good one.
No.
What about you, David? First pick.
I've had the two that you guys said, and then I also had Paul Bear.
Oh yeah, Paul Bear. Yeah, he was on my list, but tell us why Paul Bearer.
Just the lore with Taker and Kane. The importance of him even bringing in Kane, and then also he brought it or helped bring in Mick Foley as Mankind.
Was it?
Was
his
uncle? Yeah.
Oh shit.
When Mankind was still wearing the brown gear.
Oh yeah, that's how he started, right?
Yeah, when he was still like super weird.
And he had like that Ankh, like that Egyptian symbol on his thing. Yeah, I mean that's a good one. He was on my list, but I like expanded it in case like we touched other ones. Paul Bearer, yeah, I mean like that. Like if you think of like managers, like that's like one of the first. Like it's like an obvious manager. You know what I mean? Because like that was his specific role, like he was a supporting character to Undertaker, and like it burned in everyone's brain because like the makeup, like he was short and big and he had the high-pitched voice. I think his real name is Percy Pringles. That makes it even funnier. And like all the iconic things, like you said, like he was introducing Kane. He got buried under cement. I mean, and just holding the urn, the iconic thing of like holding the urn, and you have the Undertaker there. I mean, all of it just very iconic. And very important character like throughout the. I mean, it was basically since Undertaker started all the way through the Attitude Era. There's a bit of a break, and then they had some reunions with the Undertaker. But yeah, that's a really good one. And it was like one of my picks. Like somewhere I'm like, oh, should I pick him? Should I not? So that's really good. Andres, what about you?
I'll get to my pick in a second, but I was going to mention Paul Heyman really quick because I actually absolutely hated him as a kid. Like, I really hated him. I didn't like when he talked. I hated him as a manager. I didn't mind Brock Lesnar, but for some reason, I hated Paul Heyman when he came from the whole invasion angle was going through.
Mm-hmm.
But when I learned as I got older, like his like resume and what he's done for wrestling, it made me like respect him so much. And I was like, damn, wait a minute, like. But as a kid, like, no, I hated his guts. I did not like him at all. Like, I was just annoyed by his voice and all that stuff. Who knows this fat guy? Like,
This skull wearing motherfucker.
Yeah, seriously. I was like, what the fuck? But actually, too, I was actually a Curtis Axel fan for a while, and I don't remember if it was here in Chicago or we like traveled out because we did go out to like Survivor Series in Indiana and stuff like that. But like, there was a match I forgot. He won the title, and I don't remember who he beat it for, but like it was during that Paul Heyman management time, and I remember the crowd was like
won the
behind him.
Intercontinental
Yeah,
title.
I remember him, and the crowd was behind him big time for that match, and I was really thinking he was going to go pretty far after that, but just it didn't really. It didn't. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it just didn't. My pick, to kind of Chris's point too. Like Triple H would not be pretty much where he had gone in his character if it wasn't for them, which is the Ninth Wonder of the World, China.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much is one of his, like, honestly, you can't really think him without her, originator of DX, but like also like setting like the bar for like the women's division and being so like different.
Mm-hmm.
I love her backstory too of how she got into the business. That was cool. Like Triple H pretty much is what met her like at the mall or something like that.
At a gym.
And it's like, hey, at a gym, was it? Okay. Hey, he met her where she was working. Yeah. And then he brought her in, and like Vince wasn't really for it, but Shane was, and he basically had to like tell his dad, like, let's just give it a try and see. And they took a chance, and it was a big payoff. But like, she had such an impact on wrestling alone too. Just not just as a woman wrestler, but just as a wrestler. Like setting the standard for what the women's division became. And I mean, still to this day, like you have Rhea Ripley, who's like took a lot of inspiration from her, in her outfits too, especially too.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps her hair going and stuff. But that's my pick. Like someone, impactful to wrestling as a valet at first, but developed into being one of the pinnacle wrestlers in female wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go. This will be mine too, and I'll also say China because she was also on my list, and I echo everything that you said. And again, like it's just like I feel like her character and her as a person, it just feels like she was reaching the pinnacle, and then like all those things that happened near the end in like 2001, it's just like a series of like unfortunate events, like the interpersonal relationships, like the Stephanie Triple H thing, and then she had her own issues with Sean Waltman, X-Pac. And I just wish like it went somewhere else, because I feel like she could have still been with us wrestling or doing something, like that's one of those people that I'm like, damn, like they left wrestling too soon. And I mean, they left this earth too soon, and China, you mentioned Triple H, and you also have to like bring up like the Eddie Guerrero thing. Like it wasn't that super long of a pairing, but the Eddie Guerrero China thing was like super iconic. Yeah. And she kind of went like she was manager valet-ish. She was like still wrestling, but it was a pairing, and she was like with him, and that was a very iconic pairing on SmackDown. And yeah, like China's super influential. I mean, for women, like you said, Rhea Ripley. I mean, in general, big, super powerful women who also were wrestling guys. Won the Intercontinental title, wrestled against Chris Jericho, was in the Royal Rumble. Like not many people, or women specifically, can say that, they showed up and did all that, and she could.
Fun fact about China is, I'm sorry, I had a friend who actually met her at a convention here, like probably like 2 years before she passed, and he was actually locked in the elevator with her for like 2 hours.
What?
Yeah.
What? You got to be talking to her for 2 hours.
Yeah,
be quiet, right?
He said she was so nice. No, he said she was so cool. She was really cool. She talked to him the whole time. Like there was no awkwardness or anything. He said she didn't really talk too much about wrestling, but like he just and this guy that I know that he was locked in the elevator, he can talk a lot too. He can talk your ear off. But like from what I heard though, like no, she was really cool. Like she was really nice and very pleasant and like wasn't like freaking out or like oh don't talk to me or anything. Like no, she was very like very talkative back with him. So real friendly.
Do you know how they got out of the elevator? Like, how are they stuck for
I
almost 2 hours?
I think eventually that I don't remember what happened, like how, but I just remembered like he said they were stuck, and then eventually the elevator like maintenance came, and I think the police came, and then eventually it came up. Like it didn't like open to a point where they like climb out. It actually like centered itself to like the floor it was going to eventually. And they were able to get out properly, but like yeah, they were in there for like a while. He said, but the whole time she was really cool. He said,
Were there other people in there? Or was it just them two?
yeah, it was him and like his friend, and then like her and her manager, whoever was helping her with the con.
Steve-O, by any chance?
Vivo? No,
Yeah. Oh.
no. It was just like the handler. Because I guess when you like work a table and you're like a guest, they'll give you somebody that helps you with like the people and like in line and stuff like that. Like, oh, like here, I'll take the picture for you, or they'll talk to the person who's like next in line to get their thing signed or whatever.
Mhm. That's awesome.
Like a handler. Yeah,
I
that's
can't
cool.
imagine. That's amazing.
All people, yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that was my second one. Chris, who's your second one?
This is an oddball one, but it's kind of just a testament to this style of manager. I'm gonna say Armando Estrada.
Oh,
like-
okay. See, I was kind of thinking about putting him on here just because I experienced it. I'm like, no.
Umaga. I mean, like it just all these characters that are not really mic talkers, right? Or they need like English translation, like that.
Yeah, because
is-
Umaga didn't speak. He just went blah 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 blah.
Right.
blah.
The wild thornberry.
Right. But like, like other wrestlers who perhaps don't speak English, like using a manager that was kind of their mouthpiece or whatever to help them create their character was very big. So they were more of an imposing kind of a presence for like I just does stuff and talk. So and it's just the way he would say stuff and how he would announce his name or all that shit. So yeah, I had to throw him. And because like as far as like managers that we've experienced, he's one of those that really pops out in that like 2000s era, 2010 era.
Yeah, I mean, and he was like a very prominent manager. Like there weren't that many people who had managers at that time, but he's one like that was specifically in that role.
It like the Cuban look. He had a freaking hat on and shit.
Ray-Bans, white hat, gold chain,
Right.
occasionally a cigar.
And he was like specifically a manager, whereas like, Stephanie McMahon and a lot of these other people had different roles before, but he was really more, unless I'm wrong, I don't think he's actually right.
Did he manage anybody else besides Umaga? I'm not sure.
Like, I was looking at it earlier.
I forgot about him.
I
Not
don't
gonna
know.
And he's Palestinian. He's not even Hispanic. And he was born in Chicago, actually.
No shit. Huh.
Billed from Cuba.
Tyson Kidd and Umaga. That's it.
Oh, he was the general manager of ECW in 07. But we didn't really watch WWE ECW. Like it was obviously there. CM Punk was there and all that kind of stuff. And I think our friend Michael may have had that terrible ECW pay-per-view December to Dismember. I think it was like the second one. Was it that one where Big Show won the title? Well, either way, it wasn't great. But
Who was that vampire wrestler on that show? I forgot his name. Like some vampire dude. Or am I tweaking?
No, there was a vampire guy with the girl.
I don't remember that shit.
Not Gangrel.
No,
Not being girl. Yeah.
I'm gonna type vampire ECW. Kevin Thorne.
I thought that was his name in TNA.
Mordecai and Kevin Thorne. He was in WWE as Kevin Thorne and Mordecai.
That was Mordecai?
Yeah, apparently. He came back in ECW in 06, 07 on Sci-Fi. Kevin Thorne, yeah, he was just Kevin Thorne and his vampire chick Ariel. So Armando Alejandro Estrada was the general manager for that year-ish. When did WWE ECW die? Was it like 09, 2010, something like that, right? Like it was only like 4
Too
years.
soon.
Too soon. Like I feel like it could have been something interesting, but they just would never be able to do what the Paul Heyman ECW did. But that's fine. David, what about you? What's your next pick?
Sensational Sherry.
Ooh, yes. Why?
I feel like, I mean, I could be wrong, but we also don't have much history to like go back on before her. But just being like a big pinnacle of like a WrestleMania story, being with Macho Man, being with DiBiase later on,
Mhm.
helping cement like Shawn Michaels as a fucking heel
Yep.
early on, and then good old Harlem Heat. She was there.
Yeah.
And the iconic Kurt Angle cameo. I think that was the same year she was getting
Oh,
inducted
yeah.
into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Sex Kurt.
Yeah, in
Make your ankle hurt.
2005.
It's super.
Yeah.
And she's like, she looked very masculine. Ankle hurt. I was like, damn. Dude.
That's how she always was. Especially Sensational Sherry when she was like in she was Macho Man's counterpart basically. Like you had like you had Macho Man with his wife, like nice petites, nice counterbalance to his crazy energy, and then basically when Sherry showed up, it was crazy energy with crazy ass energy. So when he was the Macho King, I think that's what they call. And yeah, like her, like I totally forgot. Like yeah, like she had like face paint and stuff. Like she had like it looked like a cat at one point. Like her makeup was bananas. But if you've never seen her, she's also really pretty too. If you've never seen her Dark Side of the Ring episode, that was actually really really good.
There's an episode about her on Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, of Sherry Martel. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, I mean, like she did, she was the whole, 9 issues with drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff, like the kind of stuff you typically hear from those wrestlers in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that era.
Yeah. So she was also definitely someone who I had on my side list in case someone named everybody else. But yeah, Sherry Martel is one of those people that I thought was just really good. I mean, she was a wrestler, but she was also very charismatic. She was really good as a valet and as a manager. She was actually inducted in 06, so it was the same year as Bret Hart in Chicago when they did the Hall of Fame at Rosemont Theater.
Huh.
So, yeah, and she passed away a year later in 2007 because of a drug overdose, which freaking sucks. And I don't know. I'm not gonna look it up.
Jesus.
It was actually around the same time Chris Benoit passed away, which sucks. It was like a back-to-back kind of thing.
Jesus.
But yeah, Sherry Martel is one of those people that were really influential. I mean, like you said, they helped Harlem Heat. The one that I remember the most is with her and Shawn Michaels. She was a big part of that story.
Macho King was a big story.
Macho King was probably the biggest part for her as a manager. The most hilarious one was obviously Harlem Heat because she was in that video shot when that promo happened.
My man.
But yeah, Sensational
Sherry.
Sherry was a really good one. Let's see. Wait, so is it Andres? Are you next?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my pick, kind of like the same as David's, like to his points. I picked Miss Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. Iconic.
Yeah, iconic. Was with Macho Man throughout like the early years of WCW. part of the NWO, and then obviously when WWE beforehand was part of that storyline with the Mega Powers too when they split up.
Yep.
Was in I think originally was gonna retire with Macho Man at WrestleMania. Like he had a match with, and then that's when Sensational Sherry was his manager, and then like I think she betrays him, and then Miss Elizabeth was in the crowd. She came out and like basically like rescued him. And then I think I remember like hearing that they were supposed to retire at that point, but obviously it didn't happen. But like, yeah, no, she's another iconic name in wrestling. I would say like as a valet. Don't really know too much about her wrestling history if she really had one, but I just remember like growing up and just seeing her there. You know, with all the big names in wrestling. Like I think she even managed like Lex Luger for a while. I think she was dating him actually. When
She was
at
in
that
that
point.
NWO, like
Yeah.
everyone's an NWO member.
Mhm.
But she's really tied to Macho Man Randy Savage.
Absolutely, yeah.
His kind of era in like the 80s, early 90s. So
Oh,
that's a really good one. What else do you like about her? Do you like like what anything else you want to say about
I mean, no, like I said, like I
Lizard?
just remember just seeing that, like, whenever I would watch WCW or even watching the old school WWF days and stuff like that, she was just always with the top main eventers, really. When she, you know, with the time when you had Mega Powers, like that was where she was in the middle of that. I think she kind of like broke them up, kind of in a way. Like that was kind of a thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
Macho Man was getting like super jealous of Hogan or something like that, and thinking there was something between them. But like I said, I don't really know too much, but I do know that like as a valet, she was iconic for that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you know, never really other than that. But like, no, that's pretty much all I had on her, really.
Cool. Yeah, so for my next one, I was going to say Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero was one of those. I mean, it's honestly crazy. Like when you first see her with like Eddie Guerrero and how she is as a person to like what she evolved into, like the character development, like on-screen character evolution was crazy. But I mean, like just hearing the word "excuse me" during that era, she got like nuclear heat. It was like Dominic Mysterio heat. I remember vividly this one segment where John Cena was in the ring and so was Vicky Guerrero. And she was trying to say like she said excuse me and then she started trying to talk and it was like the similar kind of thing. And I don't know if it's just that family or what it is, like Dominic Mysterio, like that whole like thing, but when she started talking, like you could not hear anything she said because the booing was so loud. And John Cena not it wasn't fake or anything, like he was just laughing his ass off because of how loud they were booing, and she tried not to laugh, but she was just getting like super angry, but you could see like she was trying to crack a smile because like the booing was so fucking loud. Like, and I think I'll send you guys a link. There's like an unedited, like unmuffled version of the booing, really good. But Vicky Guerrero as a manager, on a number of ways, a general manager, a manager of La Familia with like that whole Edge story, like that was one of the things that carried SmackDown during that specific era with like Chavo and all those kinds of folks, helping Edge win his titles, basically being the general manager and just kind of like putting her thumb on the scale for like him and that specific era, like, and then yeah, her character, she just the way that she developed it and the way that she just quickly adapted to like how WWE kind of like functions. She wasn't just like, oh, the wife of Eddie Guerrero and you know, she gets upset and just smacks somebody from like the side of the ring. Like she became a full-fledged character and she was super into it and was very just a big integral part in like 2007 through like 2011, 2012, something like that. Super iconic. That's my person. And yeah, I mean, like she also, I think they had a wrestler wrestle once too. It wasn't great. It wasn't a Dave Meltzer 5-star match, but
What
just
does
her
that even
ability.
mean?
A Dave Meltzer 5-star match. Which part?
It means that you're having SpaghettiOs for dinner.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't great. But yeah, the match wasn't great, but like she put her body on the line. They made fun of her like she was up for anything that Vince McMahon threw her way. She got tossed around, thrown through tables. I mean, there were certain parts where I'm like now looking back, like back then you were just like, haha, that's funny. But you know, like they would make fun of her, you know, body image and all that kind of stuff, and she was just kind of up for anything, you know, in the for the sake of the story. So I just gotta give my hats off to her because she also really just made Edge look really great. So yeah, Vicky Guerrero is mine. My next one, Chris. Who's your next one?
Don Callis.
The oddities, baby.
Yeah.
The guy from the Oddities.
Yeah, the guy from
Wow.
the Oddities. No, the guy who managed the Acolytes, apparently.
Yep.
Farouk and Bradshaw.
What do you like about Don
Remember that.
Callis?
I honestly think he is definitely a personality. I think he's underrated as far as what his potential is, and I think his use in AEW is probably his best use throughout his entire career. Because I think Omega wanted him in AEW, if I'm correct, because he was also doing color commentary in New Japan, and he was calling a lot of on the English side a lot of the matches. I think Omega wanted him in AEW, and then he became his manager during essentially his heel run. Which I think he was really an accent to Omega, because Omega can speak more or less, but he was the match guy, and Don Callis was kind of the negotiator, the mouthpiece, so to speak. But then the Don Callis family stuff attached to all these talents, Osprey. A lot of guys that he's surrounded by that are very talented that are outside of WWE. So, yeah, no, I'd say he's definitely an underrated manager that has not really seen a lot within the WWE frame.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one. Yeah. I mean, if I had to look at like AEW's roster and I had to pick a manager, I would definitely pick Don Callis from that group, and maybe Prince Nana.
Oh,
But
that's my other one, by the way.
no, I didn't pick him, so you can talk on the next round. What about you, David? Who's your next? We have some.
I had Nancy Benoit, woman.
No dice.
Oh, yeah, woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did she manage?
So Kevin Sullivan, Doom, and then she had a run in ECW where she was with like Shane Douglas, Sandman. I liked her in ECW because like ECW was kind of like the first to be on that wave of like badass women. Like they're just like the guys. They'll turn just like the guys, and yeah, dude, made for some good TV at 11 p.m. and when you're 6 years old on a Saturday night, you know, like.
True.
So yeah, she was a good like template for like all the other girls in ECW, like the Dawn Maries, Francines, and Beulah McGillicuddy's and all that.
Yep.
Kind of tied into that, kind of like what Chelsea Green was in her indie run.
Mm-hmm. Wild.
Same vibes, yeah.
No, that's a good pick. I didn't even think about her. But yeah, really good.
And then
pick.
of course she managed Benoit when he was with the Horsemen, but her career was cool before he got there.
Yeah.
He kind of could have done without him.
All right, awesome.
And
Andres,
she gets
oh,
no
wait,
props
yeah.
for that. Like, just want to add that she gets no props because of the Benoit shit, but it's like,
Yeah, that kind of gets overshadowed.
Yeah.
but it's like 90, you know, up until 97, it was fucking.
And she's not
Oh,
inducted
yeah.
into the Hall of Fame or anything, right?
She might be as woman, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if she's not, I feel like she should, and it'd be unfortunate if she doesn't, just because her name is tied in with like Benoit, like and that whole thing.
unfortunately. Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, my pick, I don't even know if they're in the Hall of Fame either, but I would say they could go in there. I'd say is Deborah.
Oh yeah, that was on my side list too.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Yeah. A couple of mine got picked, so I was like, oh, who else could it be? I'm like, oh yeah, Deborah. Like, been a valet for like a while. I mean, she was a valet for the Four Horsemen, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, back in the WCW, and then like when she came to WWE, obviously who was she managing? Double J, and you get a partner as well, or was it just him? But I remember her mostly with him because she would always distract the opponents and stuff like that, and
Lap
she'll get the
nuts.
guitar. Yep, you get the guitar out and stuff like that. But then eventually, like she was with Stone Cold, and like that was a cool angle too, because like that's when like the invasion thing was going on, and he was rivaling with The Rock and stuff, and then Stone Cold was like a heel, but he was a face at the same time, so she was kind of in on the skits with him. She never like did like a lot at that point, but like she just was there for me. So I remember always seeing her on TV so much. And like I feel like that's somebody who, if it's not in the Hall of Fame, should be in there. But it's definitely a valet, like I'd say, that sticks out.
No, that's a good one. I definitely think that, yeah, that's why I thought of Deborah, because like I feel like she was just associated with a lot of like iconic wrestlers. I mean, her as a person during that specific era, like Attitude and like early
Yeah.
Ruthless Aggression era, just a very iconic character.
Also a Horseman manager.
Yeah, that's
another Horseman manager.
And I checked, woman is not in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, there you go. And I don't know if she will.
Is Deborah in the Hall of Fame?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. I think she should be.
All right. Let's see. I did have Stephanie McMahon on my list, and I'm just going to use that as my pick because I think she is that that person. You already mentioned like basically the Triple H Paul Levesque era, and I think she was that character that Triple H needed as a heel to just go all the way to the stratosphere as a wrestler, as an interesting character. I mean, he was already in DX, but I feel like Stephanie McMahon really put him over the top. I mean, and she also managed Chris Jericho to a lesser degree, and she technically managed Seth Rollins with Triple H with the whole authority regime era. So during that era, she's just really good at being that kind of like support character to Seth Rollins, Triple H, the Chris Jericho. She's just really good at what she does. Her feud with is it Nikki or is it Brie Bella? No, I think it's Brie Bella because that was the whole
Mode.
Daniel Bryan feud, Brie mode thing. Slapped the shit out of her, but that was really good, and that happened in Chicago. Chris, if you remember, we were there for that. But just as a manager, a valet, on-screen personality, really good. Elevated a number of super popular wrestlers. Obviously married to the man in WWE, but she is like an iconic character and person in wrestling. Like you can't think like Stephanie McMahon. You associate with wrestling, and she has been a part of so many iconic scenes and moments in wrestling. It's just like you'd be stupid not to put her on one of these lists. General manager, she was SmackDown general manager. That was iconic. And she's not in the Hall of Fame. I feel like she's one person who'd probably be in the Hall of Fame before Vince McMahon at this point. And I think that she would be well deserved. Obviously, she's not going to put herself in there, so Triple H is probably going to do it. But yeah, Stephanie McMahon is my next pick. So, Chris, who else do you have? What are we on right now?
Nana. Well, like,
Are we
this
on
is my
4?
fifth one.
Okay.
I think maybe because I didn't mention Paul Heyman, because I've had Paul Heyman, but
Oh, well, if you got another one that comes to mind, feel free to mention that person next. But go ahead.
Arn Anderson, no, but yeah, Prince Nana, Glock Anderson,
Prince Nana.
Because like sometimes you just need the guy that just does the thing that just goes over like a dance. Like and he's a good talker too. He's that good like mediator between he was the Mogul Embassy, right?
Yeah.
He was the manager, mouthpiece. Just overall very good, eccentric kind of character. But it's definitely that dance that just puts him over, man. Like that shit's hype. Well, Swerve is talented, but he's just that little cherry on top. You know what I mean? Like it's the song, the dance, the whole presentation, and then Swerve takes care of the rest in the ring, and then with all the promo stuff. So he's definitely that missing puzzle piece for Swerve, I would say.
Nice. I mean, I feel like, yeah. I mean, like with Nana, I feel like I if I had to pick someone, I'd probably say Stokely Hathaway
Yep.
as a more effective manager person. Prince Nana is just more of the, for me, more of just like the catchphrase thing. But it is very effective because I feel like he does elevate Swerve Strickland's character in a very important way. And he also, I mean, does he interfere in matches ever?
Yeah, he's done stuff. He's definitely at the
So,
side, at
yeah.
least, like trying to hype the crowd up. Like, I mean, that's also an important role.
Has he ever like just thrown his body to somebody, like protect Swerve, or like, because
Pretty sure he's taking a bump or two.
yeah, because like I feel like that's also important, like when it comes to these like managers and things, like affecting the matches based on what they do. So yeah, that's a good pick. David, who else do you have?
I had Sherry, Woman, Bear, and Heyman. Let's see.
Oh, I did say 4 to 5. So if you don't have a fifth one, that's cool.
Number 5. I didn't, but I'll think of one. Bobby Heenan.
All
Yeah.
right, there you go. Yeah, a lot of people's number one.
I also like him as a heel commentator.
Yeah, he was
like him
very
more.
good.
I might like him more as a heel commentator.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I've heard more of his commentating than I've seen his. I mean, I've seen his managing like stuff in iconic clips and things, but I feel like I've heard more of his commentating when I was like watching classic matches. But yeah, that's a really good one, and I feel like again a lot of people's number one probably. And based on what I've seen, and I think there's a documentary about him that I haven't watched, but I feel like I should probably do that to do him justice. But yeah, that's a really good one.
I knew the Heenan family was long. And I was going to mention just because of the whole Heenan family, but here we go.
Yeah.
Buddy Rose, Paul Orndorff, King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, Brainbusters, which is Anderson and Blanchard, Rick Rude, Harley Race, Haku and Tama, Hercules, the Barbarian, Mr. Perfect, Red Rooster, and the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yeah, that guy had a whole fucking he had a whole team.
Heenan family, bro.
Yeah.
Don Callis family. Do you think that's where he got it from?
Probably 40 years later.
Yeah, that's a like just the sheer amount of people that he's managed, and also just being a super entertaining commentator. Like that guy is definitely second to none.
I think he was used as a tool to turn Andre heel for the Hogan thing.
Yeah. That's true. Very, very good. Andres, did you have anybody left?
Yes. Jimmy Hart.
Oh yeah, Mouth of the South. Yes.
Yeah. Like I remember pretty much in the like late 80s, early 90s, and into the 2000s, like watching wrestling. I remember, I mean, I didn't watch wrestling in the late 80s, but I knew like of him because he always had a certain look to him. Like his whole outfit would like match. Even the microphone would probably have like some aesthetic to it that would go with his blazer. But yeah, he was always around Hulk Hogan. Like that's always how I remembered him. Yeah, the Mouth of the South. And funny about him, I remember this is kind of one of those things. It's kind of like I used to like listen to the radio on the way to with my mom to work, and like she put whatever on. But I remember we caught Mancow once, and it was when they were coming. WCW was coming to Chicago, and Jimmy Hart like got into a fight with Mancow in the studio because he was like, "Oh, you think you're Howard Stern, whatever," and just like there's a whole Russell tussle going over on the radio, and then all of a sudden it turned into Mancow's fighting in WCW at the pay-per-view, and I don't know. Jimmy Hart was like managing some guy named Rain. And I don't know who the fuck that was. I think that was like the only time I ever seen him. He was like a big dude, but it was just like the dying like pinnacle part of when WCW was already kind of just like they were doing okay, but like it was just like why are they doing this, kind of thing. But like it's something that stuck out with me with him. But like yeah, no, he's an iconic like mouthpiece, and look to himself too as a valet manager. Took bumps too. But he's someone
he
I
also
always
did manage the Hart Foundation. He did manage the Hart Foundation.
It's another one. Another big name.
Yeah, I mean, he also like there were a shit ton of people that this guy managed. I mean, yeah, you mentioned Hulk Hogan, Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart in his singles run. I think he managed Greg the Hammer Valentine. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of like the top 80s, early 90s stars, I feel like Jimmy Hart was associated with them in some form or fashion. Also, his hairstyle hasn't changed in 40 years, and he basically looks the same since like 1980.
Yeah.
Even though he's like 80 years old, I think he just turned 80.
I
Pretty
think he made a
impressive.
lot of themes too. I think he's like the Jim Johnston of WCW.
Yeah, he did a lot of. Yeah, he turned. He actually was born on January 1st, so he turned 80. Yeah, this past year.
Oh damn. Yeah, my honorable mentions were Rick Rude, Jim Cornette, and for some reason I don't know.
No one mentioned Jim Cornette.
No one mentioned him. Yeah.
I think that was
And then,
purposeful.
Fuck that idiot.
Yeah,
He's a really good manager.
Tennis racket
His-
swinging motherfucker.
his channel interesting too. I kind of like hearing him go off the cuff. Not gonna lie, it's pretty funny. He's and also I just threw Terry Reynolds in it. I don't know why. I'm trying to like think off the top of my head.
She's iconic too. She had the whole. She was basically like toned down Goldust thing because they thought he was too gay and weird.
Yeah, she's part of that.
They attached Terry Reynolds to his character.
The
I
body.
had
Terry
Bischoff
Reynolds.
as my honorable mention.
Who?
Eric Bischoff.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Holy fuck.
I mean, it was basically like a Hulk Hogan manager, and then NW basically managed the NWO.
Yeah, whoever's wrestling the main event. They
Yeah,
got Easy with him.
Glock Anderson, motherfucker. Yeah,
that was
he,
a really good one.
he was kind
Was
of the.
Vince Russo a manager too, or was he just the writer? I know he's on screen too, though. But like Vince Russo,
Vince Russo.
or was he just
Sure,
like a
he
writer
managed
predominantly?
I mean, he was an on-screen character too.
Yeah.
Did he manage somebody? I don't know.
The New
Okay,
Blood.
fine.
The New Blood.
Yeah.
All right. I did have one more. Did you have any more?
Just Arn Anderson. He was kind of the Paulie to Cody Rhodes' Rocky in a way. You're gonna eat lightning crap thunder, but in his case, a Glock. You're gonna spit bullets.
So where did that come from first? Like, was that a specific segment?
Yeah, he was.
Why do they call him?
yeah.
Glock
He was like
Anderson?
talking about just being like a tough guy or whatever. He was saying something
Yeah.
about being robbed or something in his car, and he got the Glock on him or some shit.
Yeah, he was calling Cody soft. He was telling him that when Cody gets robbed, he goes, "Oh no, take what you want." And he was like, "No, not me. I'm the enforcer. I reach down by my seatbelt, pull out the Glock."
Was this like an AEW promo when Cody was
Yeah.
in AEW?
Yeah. You gotta
It was
watch
helping
it.
him. It was to help him find his edge against Malachi Black.
Oh man, yeah, I gotta watch that now. I thought it was like some kind of like more historical thing, like a Tommy Dreamer with like the gun to Paul Heyman. or
No,
something.
no.
I guess it's more recent. Yeah, I'll look it up. I did
then
have
After that, he would pull it out the holster. Like if they're fucking with him at ringside, he'd be like,
Did he really?
Yeah. Just a finger gun, of course, not a real Glock.
Now I gotta see
Can't film in that shit.
Yeah, that like they had the pizza cutters and stuff. They just wait until he pulls out a real looking gun on TV.
It's like that. I don't know if it was New Japan or some Japanese promotion, but the dude that was just like on the top rope, he just pulls a fucking gun out for real. he was looked like he was about to do
Wild West.
like a
I
body
understand
slam.
that.
He's like, ah, motherfucker, looking unhinged as fuck.
You gotta send me.
Like
a
pulled
clip
out of
of
his
that
trunks, right? I think I seen
if you
that.
can find it.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that shit.
All right, yeah. I guess I'll have the last one, and then we could close this out. I picked Lita. No one mentioned Lita, but I picked Lita because I mean, not only is she an amazing wrestler, and she's still been wrestling up until like what, a year ago. She got the fucking tag titles. Like people forgot that she won the tag titles recently. She was like a valet manager to the Hardys. And
S.A. Rios.
S.A. Rios, that was her first thing, and she was like assisting, going in the freaking ring in like flaming red pants and bra,
Also
and
an ECW girl.
doing a Hurricane Rana. And yeah, the Hardy. I mean, was she a wrestler when she started with the Hardys? Like, was she a singles wrestler yet, or was she only
She wrestled in Mexico before.
Yeah, she was wrestling before she got to WWE.
Oh yeah, I knew that, but I meant like when she's in WWF, like when she was with the Hardys, were they letting her wrestle, or was she just like she was just ringside with the Hardy boys?
She was assisting. I remember she would do like some moonsaults and stuff with back in the day. And stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Feeling like she would wrestle, but she would just interfere.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, so I mean, like it kind of starts kind of there with like S.A. Rios, and then they put her on in the Hardy Boys, and yeah, like what manager at that time, like a Terry Runnels or Deborah or whoever you want to mention at that time. I mean, Stephanie McMahon, she won the women's championship. I was gonna actually mention Tori, like who was there for like a very brief moment in WWF where she was like in a relationship with Kane for whatever reason, and then started dating X-Pac, and then she was part of that new DX, and she helped Stephanie McMahon win her title belt. So like I used her as like a super side manager if we ran out of things, but
she was a wrestler too, I believe, right? Wasn't she?
She was for a brief period. She also had like this like spray painted on like bodysuit kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that, but yeah, I just remember Tori with like her neon green tank top, black pants or whatever. She was just part of like that McMahon Helmsley era DX faction for a bit. But yeah, Lita, like what other person during that time like was doing like Hurricane Ranas and moonsaults, to help their their wrestlers? There weren't that many in WWF anyway.
She took a gore, didn't she?
Oh, she took a bunch of shit.
Went through tables.
Yeah, I mean, she went through tables, got hit by chairs.
Stacy Keibler is another one.
Oh yeah. Stacy Keibler.
She's in the hero doing that. Not doing moonsaults, but taking bumps and distracting.
She was taking bumps. Didn't she take like an F5 from Brock Lesnar? I feel like she did. Or no, she took an RKO. I think she took an RKO from Randy Orton. But yeah, Lita, like she was a manager of the Hardy Boys, S.A. Rios. She did her singles run, and then she was still a singles wrestler, but then she got attached to Edge, and that's kind of what I associate her with as a manager the most. I mean, she had the Kane thing, the pregnancy with Kane, and that kind of a manager-ish.
Man, Kane's been pulling chicks this whole time.
Yeah. That's crazy. Was it with Chrissy Hemme?
Oh, I remember her.
Yeah. But yeah, Lita, like she was a singles wrestler. Then that whole thing with Matt Hardy and Edge, and a real life thing turned into an on-screen story, and she basically Edge had two really great managers, Vicky Guerrero and Lita. Like they really complemented his character perfectly. Say for what you want, but they had the live sex celebration. She was really good at like just interfering in matches, like just being WrestleMania 22 when he was wrestling Mick Foley,
Yeah.
flaming table. She helped set that thing on fire. I mean, she was really good at her job in that, and she was like, people really enjoyed booing her. I feel like it might have gotten to her a little bit, and maybe it was just because Trish was retiring, so maybe she felt like she should have as well. And I feel like there were also a bunch of injuries that she was just kind of like fighting through too. And that's why she kind of retired super early. Like same with Trish. They both retired pretty young, comparatively, speaking to like, how older wrestlers and female wrestlers go now. But I think both of them have also redeemed themselves. They've appeared in like a number of wrestlers and stuff. But yeah, Lita was my last manager, and I thought she definitely fits the past 20 years. She was one of the best managers in Valets in the past 20 years. But yeah, did you guys have any other managers or people you wanted to throw out before we wrap this thing up?
No, I said all mine. Mr. Fuji?
Yeah.
No, yeah, Mr. Fuji. Yeah, no one said Mr. Fuji.
beep.
That wasn't Mr. Fuji.
That was
No.
Mr. Fuji.
Damn.
Damn,
Damn, bro.
racist.
Yeah,
You edited that out.
That's the same guy. Shit, man.
Was it kind time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, son.
Oh, Mr. Fuji's an Asian guy. Choppy, oh, baby.
Mr. Fuji was Yokozuna.
Yeah, that was well before that,
Yeah,
dude.
Mr. Fuji.
Now we're
That was
living
the
in.
first-
Bowler hat.
That was the first time WWE got a presentation of a Japanese man right with the Samoan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think that's a good place to wrap up. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of Chi-Town Shoot Podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us, and leave your feedback. Tune in next time for more wrestling madness. Until then, keep marking out.